Looking back at the games I've made videos for this year, I think we've covered some pretty awesome stuff. We've had Klonoa 2, Exhumed, Streets of Rage Remake, and even some games that are just okay as well, like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, A Twitch in Time, and GoldenEye Rogue Agent. But it's been a while since we've looked at anything that's just plain bad, and that's something we're going to do today. Hey everybody, this is VG Logic, and on this episode of Played This, we're going to be dissecting X-Bladez Inline Skating on the PlayStation. Now, way back when, I made a video about a game called Cyberdeck. I didn't like it, and I still don't, and wow did I get some colourful messages for that one at the time. I'm serious, I even got death threats in my inbox for that video. Anyway, in the comments section, a lot of people pointed out that there were far worse games out there. Now, a lot of people jump to Bubsy 3D when we talk about bad PlayStation games, and I definitely agree, Bubsy 3D is shit. Others jump to Rascal, which is a really good looking game, but sadly it fails in just about every other aspect you can think of. One person in the comments pointed to X-Bladez Inline Skating though, and this was a game I'd never heard of before. So call it a morbid curiosity if you will, but I bought a copy to see for myself. Was this guy right? Let's find out. First of all, I like to do a bit of research when I make a video like this, but oddly enough, the web really is truly barren for this one. There's a few videos about it, but I often shoot for a Wikipedia link or something for dates and for who made it. Wikipedia also usually gives me some indicator on how the game was received at launch. If that fails, I normally go to Game FAQs instead, because they seem to have at least a section for most games out there, but on Game FAQs for this one there's only a small handful of user reviews, and the scores they give are all pretty bad. I know this game was made by Crave, who have made some good stuff like Broken Sword 2, but they have also made some crap. Now there's a bit of a list on Wikipedia for them at least, but they also made Beyblade Let It Rip on the PlayStation, which is a terrible game, and one that I might get around to at some point. Anyway, X-Bladez is a rollerblading game. Now, in the game's defense, it doesn't look horrible. It's bland, but there are worse looking games out there, and looking at it just from this point, I was hoping it would be like ESPN Extreme Games, or even a poor man's version of it, but boy was I wrong. To start off, you only have two modes to pick from. You've got Tournament or Practice, but they both only give you one track to pick from, and it's the same track. There's no explanation, no tutorial, you get dumped on the track, 2 minutes on the clock, and that's it. The controls are some of the most unresponsive I've ever used. There's a trick list in the pause menu, so that's helpful, but getting any of these tricks to work is a gamble half the time. For example, the game says you need to push a direction and square to do a grab. More often than not, this doesn't work. It seems to be a little better if you hold the direction and then push square quickly, but even then, it's still not a given that anything is going to happen. Sometimes when I say a game has unresponsive controls, I mean stuff like, it just takes a while for stuff to happen. But here I could swear I'm doing the exact same input over and over again, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's bizarre. Even just getting off the ground is a pain in the arse. I mean, there's some very noticeable lag when you push X to jump, which makes doing anything with precision out of the question. This same unresponsiveness extends to grinding as well. I mean, you're meant to press triangle to grind on rails, but it's not really worth the hassle. For the most part, it doesn't work. Unfortunately for us, you do need to do these tricks to get points, and this is the meat of the game in the qualifying stages, so like it or not, you're going to have to try and do this stuff. There's even tricks you can do on the ground, like snaking left to right, but strangely enough they don't actually give you any points, so I have no clue why they're here. Your character feels unwieldy and heavy, but not in a way that feels intended. In some games you're using a heavily armoured character with slow moves, you're supposed to feel clumsy, but here, the heavy controls always feel like a burden, and you'll end up pushing the buttons extra hard to try and make things work. Even with the controls in the sorry state they are, I wanted to give this one a really good go, so I started my qualifier, and very quickly ran into something even worse. What could be worse than controls that don't work? Well, let me introduce this little gem to you. You need to do tricks to get points to qualify. After a bit of playing around and a good bit of practice, I could get around 5,000 points fairly consistently in a run. Now you have to bear in mind the course is really short, and there's a select few ramps you can really jump with. Now, do you want to know how many the target is to qualify? 5,000? No. 7,000? Nope. 10,000? Now bear in mind 10,000 is double what I've been putting down on a run, but still, no. It's 14,000. 14 fucking thousand. I'm actually impressed. I mean, who at Crave playtested this and pulled that number out their ass? That's ridiculous. And this is the first stage. Imagine buying this and being stuck on the same 2-minute long stage, which is actually less than a minute long if you aren't faffing around doing tricks over and over. That's insulting on so many levels. Fear not, though, I found a way to do it. After trying all the tricks, I worked out that the mute air grab, which is right and square, gives you 500 points a go, which is the most you can get in one grab. If you focus on going as slow as you can, doing little hops and this trick real fast, each time, eventually you're gonna get to 14,000. Now bear in mind, the sluggish controls haven't gone away, so sometimes it just doesn't work, but with a bit of luck you can do this trick 28 times before you reach the finish line. I managed to do it with 3 seconds left on the clock, but a win's a win, right? Good grief. If you haven't given up on the first hurdle, this takes us to the event we were actually qualifying for, a 1v1 race, and this is actually quite easy in comparison. Once you take note of the hazards, you learn a few you can jump over, and you should be able to take and hold the lead. If you're struggling, you can just bump your opponent into a hazard early on, and because the track is so short, he doesn't usually have enough time to catch up. You know something? If the qualifying wasn't there and the game just focused on the racing, it would still be bad, but it wouldn't be terrible, just another game in the bag of mediocre that could give some enjoyment in the right circumstances. But as this stands, this game wishes it got into the mediocre bag. So, who would like a guess at what we do next? Anyone? Well, if you guessed another qualifier, well fucking done, but the difference this time is the score to get is 16,000. So if we're accounting in a metric that actually matters in this game, that's 4 more mute airs than last time, a grand total of 32. The problem here is that with this course there's more slopes, and because there was more slopes, for some reason I couldn't get the tricks to work all the time. Usually what happened was I either just ran out of track or the time I did run out, and after sitting here jumping, pressing right and square far too hard, over and over, I have honestly had enough. This is as far as I got. I'm stunned. I mean, this game is awful. I mean, the graphics and the music are passable, but much beyond that, there's nothing to like here. I mean, look at Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. That's a good game, and that's how you do games like this. I don't think I've ever felt so outright cheated by a game before. And like I said earlier, imagine buying this game and taking it home expecting a fun rollerblading game. How disappointed would you be? So was that guy right? Is this worse than Cyberdeck? Cyberdeck is a fucking masterpiece compared to this. And would I recommend you play it? Absolutely not, and it's not even on the level of so bad you simply have to try it. There really is no fun to be had here. I don't really know what else to say. Game's bad. Avoid. As always guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.